there, and I was like, how much you want to guess? Because I was like, we're not going to be done at 3. I was like, you're going to be going past 3. I was like, so how much you want to guess? You either get a call or Chris comes over here, and he's like, oh, babe, what time is it? You said we're going to be late. And not kidding you. 2:55, Chris walks in the door. He goes, babe, do you know what time it is?
As you can always count on Chris.
Don't put that on the
the way.
podcast. He'll be so mad about hearing my impression of him. This is Twin Stick Radio, episode 72 for the week of June 6th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Trey Higgins, and I'm joined by Justin T. Lopez.
I was like, am I still going to get last billing or do I get bumped up?
Yeah, you get bumped up. And Everett Jordan,
I'm here.
again.
Yes, after a while, actually.
I know.
It's almost a month for me
I
that
know,
I haven't
it's
been
been a
here.
while.
Oh, yeah. I was talking more about you being on mic.
Oh, true. That's
because, like, if you're not here, no one can really tell most of the time.
oh, I know.
No offense.
Well, this is us pulling back the curtain for a second. Everett hasn't been behind the scenes in like a month or at least like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But now he's here.
But I'm here and I'm on mic.
And on mic, yeah. Triumphant return.
In a blaze of glory.
I have poisoned Chris. He has been. But wait, I incapacitated him. I'm sorry.
I would like to perform non-lethal damage.
So you picked a good time to come back because I'm like changing everything about D&D next week. I just decided I did that thing where I tried to ask people's opinions about it for like a really long time and no one wanted to like cooperate. And I'm like, okay, I'm making an executive decision. Instead of asking people what they want, I'm just making decisions.
Hashtag DM things.
Hashtag tired DM things. I was talking to my DM friend at Draft House about this. He was like, are you like at DM burnout? I was like, not yet. I was like, but if anyone's going to put me there, it's going to be my fucking players.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I guess I should expect an entire genre change. We're
No,
doing
not
My
that
Little
drastic.
Pony.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
Like I was so I've been wanting to get everyone out of Dungeon of the Mad Mage for the past couple weeks because I'm just not having fun with it, and I don't think the players are either. And if they are having fun, then like the bored looks on their faces like really betray the amount of fun that they're having.
The times at the end of the end of the session when it's like, and we'll end it there tonight, and everyone's all,
Yeah. So,
packs up stuff like half asleep.
But I also think it's another problem that started like almost with Dungeon of the Mad Mage, where one of our players can't get here until 8, but has to leave like as close to 11 as possible. So I did the math on how much we played last week, and it was only like 2 hours. Like total time played was only like 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah, because we ended at like right at 11, but we didn't actually really start until like 8:30 because Kat had to get in and get settled and all that. And so like 2.5 hours, I guess, is probably closer. And it's and for Dungeon of the Mad Mage, you just can't. You have to like commit time because you make no progress, which is exactly what's been happening every single session.
We go down hallways sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're trapped as well.
Yeah.
So, are you guys playing any games right now?
I have not really played anything new. So since I finished Red Dead, next on my list is probably Horizon Zero Dawn, since I picked that up during like Black Friday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on there, and then I want to go back and finish the Spider-Man DLCs.
But you own God of War too, though.
I mean, now I do.
I would play.
I was gonna let Bree finish that first, and then I was gonna pick it up later.
Oh, gotcha.
Don't you
Yeah.
play when she's like asleep though?
Sometimes, like right now, she's probably playing now.
I would play.
Like she plays whenever I'm not there.
I would play Horizon, and then I would play God of War, and then the Spider-Man DLC.
Because
Okay.
I tried picking up Horizon after I finished God of War, and I feel like just because God of War is such like a masterpiece in the actual like crafting of the game, like a lot of the flaws shown through early on in the game. I was like, I can't play this right now. I need to put this down because I'm on that God of War high. So
Okay.
I personally think Horizon Zero. Well, I mean, they're both really good games. I like Horizon Zero Dawn more than I like God of War, mostly because like God of War has really good combat, but I think Horizon Zero Dawn really nails it. especially as you start unlocking trees and stuff. Because one of my biggest problems with God of War, now that Everett's here, I can actually talk to someone about this freaking game. One of my biggest problems about God of War is it's taken away like the combo stuff from previous God of War games, but there's still like this level of, by the time that you have a fully leveled up Kratos, you have all these abilities that are really tough to use because it's just like weird button combinations and really specific instances.
Right.
So like I feel like I was only using a fraction of the abilities that I actually had. Whereas like in
Yes.
Horizon, I'm like everything that I got for, I would say the most part I had use of.
I think it might just cater to the different types of like gamers playing it. Like I guess there's a big difference between being like casual God of War and then being like all in, because I feel like once you get to that what is that, impossible mode? What do they call it? The hardest difficulty in the game.
Yeah, I don't,
If you're really
Ultra God.
Yeah. If you're really into that, I feel like you can make use of all that, and then you're supposed to use like your health, your vitality to like alter those combos so you can actually execute them without getting interrupted. Like you're supposed to have builds for that. Like so like once you get to like the really intricate end game of God of War, like I can see you using those abilities, but I mean if you're just mainly playing through the story, anything up to like the hardest difficulty, I don't see the point of most of it.
But I agree with that. I feel like if God of War is your game and you're like learning it and all that, then of course you're gonna know every ability. But the thing about Horizon and God of War is that I would venture to guess that 90% of the people that play those games kind of fit on the I'm just playing through this for the story and maybe to get the platinum reasons.
Yeah, and then once you get the platinum, even in God of War, it's just like you've pretty much done everything already. You don't need to go so in depth with it. To get all the collectibles, you know.
Oh, there are so much stuff you need to do for the platinums. Like you have to for the platinum. This isn't bad, but you have to clear out like the Fire Realm like activities.
Muspelheim.
Yeah, which is fine. Like it's actually got to the point where as I'm working on that stuff, I just knock the game down to easy because it's not like
there you go.
it's not like it's hard, but it's like in order to really like exceed at that stuff, because for whatever reason, this is the most annoying thing about God of War. It decided to use like the power leveling system, like in Destiny. So your gear is what makes your level.
Oh.
And when you're in game, like the best armor sets are from these two realms, but you need so much shit to upgrade them and all that, and fights get hard, but also to like go through stuff in the main world and knock that out, you have to have a pretty high level. And so it was one of those things where I was like, I'm just putting this on easy and I'm going to knock all this stuff out because I already beat the game on normal and that's fine. And there's no trophies for difficulty.
True. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, God of War, I guess. I guess I'll throw it on the list too.
You should play it. I think you of all people would really enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think out of Horizon and God of War, I would say you would probably, like you as a gamer would probably enjoy God of War more than Horizon.
yeah, I'll have to check it out. I haven't played a God of War game since
You don't need to.
like the first one.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of better if you only have like a brief overview of who Kratos is.
Oh yeah.
Because I've never beaten a God of War game, but I get it. He's an angry Greek dude, and he killed a bunch of gods and like did some questionably violent things to women.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you get that about Kratos, you can get this game.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I just know whenever I played the first one, the main thing, because I was young too, so the main thing is just like I remember it being bloody and violent, him having some slinging swords, and then getting to have sex with some women. And I was like, nice,
Yeah,
Nice.
cool.
Bang Bros.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that story this week? It might not have actually been a story, but it was going around all the gay subreddits I follow. But
That's something I didn't know was a thing.
one of the there's
Gay
a subreddit
bros.
for everything.
Well, no, I just like all the gay subreddits I follow. I just didn't picture there being like
Well, there's a
one.
bunch. There's like gay bros for the guys that like want to be masked, and there's gamers. It's a Y between the A and the M in gamers. It's pretty good.
There we go. There you go. Pride Month. I'm learning.
But one of the original creators of God of War went on Twitter and said something like, because someone had posted a picture of like Kratos holding like a pride flag and like wearing like a rainbow like fucking skin or something, and people were getting mad about it. So the original creator went on Twitter and was like, when I originally envisioned Kratos, he was a bisexual character. So to all those people getting mad, like, you don't understand Kratos. And then like shortly after that, he posted, he was like, I was obviously like, I didn't come off very well in the tweet, but I was being really sarcastic. I was just trying to make fun of people that think it's ridiculous that Kratos is holding a gay pride flag.
Right.
And so it turned into this big thing on all the gay Reddits where everyone was like talking about him appropriating shit or whatever.
That is something I find interesting. So now that we're on this tangent, when people draw the line of being, what is it called, an ally, like, why do people have such a problem with people showing, I guess, support whenever maybe you don't necessarily identify as LGBTQ plus?
I think part of it is the J.K. Rowling effect, where it's really like part of it is that people feel like it's really easy to claim that a character is gay or bisexual after the story with them is complete, because there are no risks. Like Dumbledore is not a different character because J.K. Rowling said he was gay, and really it's like, what does she have to lose? If he had been gay in the books or whatever, like she would have had to actually face adversity, and so I think some people sort of feel like, oh man, I'm fighting against adversity. And then there's the other side of people that really like just want to identify with any gay character in media because there's not that many. So when you make like a fake joke like that, and I don't agree with this, but I understand it. When you make a fake joke like that, you're poking both of those people. So when you go on the other side, it's like, okay, well, you're going to say Kratos is gay to get some positive public attention because that makes you cool. And then the other side's like, well, if Kratos isn't gay, like you're hurting my feelings because I can't identify with him. And you know, doesn't necessarily have to be logical, but I think it's also just like there was a news story that like in some fucking Midwestern town they're doing a straight pride parade.
Oh, I've seen so many people flaming this. Yeah,
and it's just like it's really easy for straight people in media to sit on the side and like be allies about things and be like, oh, this character's gay, or I support this character being gay, or yes, queen, work it, and it's just like you're avoiding all the adversity. And really, the adversity that you have as a creator is a fraction of what the average gay or lesbian person or whatever other letter in the LGBTQ rainbow is. But it's only a fraction of that adversity. So it's almost like it's almost like you're trying to live that experience to like have that liberal achievement in your gamer score, when really it's there's no risk for you.
Right. Well, like in all actuality, it's literally just you're making the decision of like, yeah, that character that I made, he's gay.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have like what backlash, like real backlash, are you going to experience from that?
And you even see that with like the Fantastic Beasts movies, like.
Yeah.
Yes, if you know Dumbledore's gay, you can obviously be like, Dumbledore, you're so gay. You're so gay. But, like, really, they don't even, like, touch on it.
No?
They just sort of, like, walk the line where it's like, maybe he's gay. There's something weird there.
Nah, they're just friends, and they dress really nice.
They match.
During your vacation, Everett, did you play anything?
I did a little bit. I kept playing more of the Borderlands pre-sequel, the Tales from the Borderlands, and the writing is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I think Tales is personally my favorite Borderlands story.
Right, it's just so witty. Like there's a part where they're about to swap stories, so they end up interrupting each other's like flashbacks, and then I got to the part where Reese and his friend. I forget his name.
Yeah, I forgot his name too.
But
the nerdy guy.
Yeah, they're flying on this robot, and they're like, "Man, it's good that we're friends, right?" Like, yeah, bro, and they eventually just go like, "Bro," and they just and then it interrupts that it was what's her name? She was telling the story.
Oh,
and she's interrupting.
God, what's her name?
I know.
The other main character, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going. I'm gonna look this up because it's gonna bother me.
But yeah, I played that. I played that game. That's good. It's good so far, and I think it's good because it isn't Fiona. Yes. I don't know. It's good because it's not a Borderlands game.
Are you even gonna buy Borderlands 3?
No.
Really?
No. I can't. I can't do it anymore. Like I'm beyond burnt out. I'm supernova'd out of Borderlands.
You don't want to play the first level of Borderlands 2 again?
You know what? I gotta go.
Well, Everett, Dr. Phil walks out. He pulls a cloth off of one of the screens in here, and it's Borderlands 2 3 controllers.
I want to talk to you about Borderlands.
You're gonna play this right now.
I like how yours is more like King of the Hill.
Yeah, I know. My Hank always comes out. Oh, God damn it, Bobby.
But I guess more than gaming, though, I've been reading a lot more. I've read every Red Rising book that is current now. So I read the 3 that I hadn't already read. And the 5th book comes out at the end of June.
What is Red Rising?
Red Rising, it's the dystopian future where everyone's like color categorized. It's kind of like Hunger Games, or at least that's how it starts out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like humanity has they've basically conquered the solar system. And so like everything is cast by like colors, and like gold's rule at the top of society.
Okay.
But then like it goes down the color cast, and the characters are red, which is at the very bottom of the cast.
I'm an awful person because you said people are separated by color, and I was like, oh, so the black people are in one group of black people? And then when you started talking about casts, I was like, this is going to be real bad.
Well, it's almost worse, though. It's almost worse because, like, this is the society that people live in, and that's how they were engineered. Everyone is, like, all the colors are engineered.
Yeah.
So,
Engineer, like they were made?
essentially, like, it's kind of like society gave up its freedom as just, like, you know, to be whatever you are. And now it's just like everyone is born into a color. And so genetically, everyone's different as a color, and they have a task in society to fulfill. But obviously, it's the golds on top who rule and who have all the power.
Gotcha. Right. So it is like a traditional, like in history, like a caste system.
Yeah.
Because once you're like whatever you're born into, you have no say over it or anything like that. That's just your life.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't move up from a caste.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
So,
what about you, Trey? You play anything? You read any books?
Uh,
Blue Rising?
No, although they did release a new edition of Dune, and I've been wanting to read Dune for a really long time. So I've been thinking about picking it up, but it's just getting to Barnes and Noble, and because I'm not going to buy a book offline. That's stupid.
Is that Dune as in like the movie that they're making Dune?
The TV show.
all of the above. Really?
But I've just been playing Pillars of Eternity, which is still really good. It sort of had me missing Divinity Original Sin a little bit, though, because part of the problem with Pillars is that you travel in a party of 6 people, which is a lot for a CRPG as far as my experience goes. Like, the most I think I've ever had in a party is like 5, and 4 is pretty much the standard. So you're controlling all these characters, but it's like sort of real time with pausing, and I have a really hard time like managing 6 characters like that. So I pretty much have just put them on auto and let them do their own thing, which means like characters are getting knocked down every now and again, and all that's well and good. But it's just a lot, and part of the thing that's great about Divinity is, yeah, you have a lot of characters that have really distinct abilities, but because it's turn-based combat, you have a lot more control over what each individual character is doing, and you don't feel like you're sort of just playing one character and watching everyone else do their thing.
Yeah, I guess my experience with Divinity was just playing with other people. Mm-hmm. So I had always just felt like, yeah, I'm doing my thing, and then
it's the same concept. It's just you're controlling all the other characters.
Yeah, I get that.
So
I guess it would depend for Pillars how good the auto system is.
And that's the thing is I can't tell because like I'm just playing on like I'm at the point now where like if I just want to get through a story in the game, like. After God of War, I just sort of decided because like God of War is really good, but there were parts that I got really frustrated with. Like there's a fight early on in the game that is annoying, and they bring it back a couple of times, and it's like the worst fight. It's just the worst enemy in the game is just like constantly hanging around. And so I just sort of got to the point where I'm like, well, I have a list of games that I want to complete this summer, and Pillars is one of them, and I'm just gonna turn this down on easy and do my thing. And so it's on easy, and I'm like, I'm not even sure if these characters are doing well or if I'm just kicking ass because this is not hard. Mm-hmm. And so like Divinity, it's like that game is sort of fun to play on normal. I feel like if you were playing on an easy, it would sort of take out all the fun of combat. But in Pillars, it's like this is so overwhelming, I don't even like want to put it on a harder difficulty.
That's fair. I'm wondering if having it on easy also makes your party like nerfed as well.
I mean, aside from the fact, like from what I can tell, because you don't fight that many enemies like in any given situation, but I think part of it is early on in the game it doesn't know how many companions you have. But I think part of what the game does is throw less and less enemies at you. but it's really hard for me to tell that if the AI settings I've set are actually working because we're killing things so quickly. So it could be working. I don't think it should have. It shouldn't affect the AI because you're basically programming it. Programming in very light programming terms. But the other thing that's kind of weird though is that like there are spell slots and they function pretty much the same way that they work in D&D. So when you cast a second level spell slot, you like can cast less second level spells over the time of day. Which puts you in a really weird situation because you're like, do I want these people casting the spells? Because I'm not going to be making them cast them. So I have a wizard that has all this shit that they're not using. And so do I want them to do it? Or am I going to be in a situation where I'm fighting like a boss and it's like, Matt, there's two characters that I have that are voiced by Matt Mercer. But Matt Mercer 1 is like totally just used all of his spell slots for the day and I'm fucked.
Yeah. I would get in that same situation whenever playing Kingdom Hearts, and you can go through and you can set kind of each of your companions I guess like mannerisms, like how they go about certain situations. Do they attack? Do they like to stick together? Stuff like that. But you can also throw in items into their inventory. And so I'd always be really hesitant to give them anything higher than just like a regular potion.
Yeah.
Because I was like, fuck no. If I'm giving you a mega potion or something, you're going to like get hit once and be like, oh, I'm going to pop this real quick. It's like, you wasteful bastard. Or I'm going to be dying. And then instead of healing me, Donald's like, oh, Goofy. Yeah. It's like, Donald, do you not understand? If I die, the game's over.
Doesn't he heal himself a lot instead of healing everyone else? In like the earlier games?
Yes. It's not so bad now, but yeah. That was always frustrating. You'd be almost about to beat a boss. You're like, please heal me, Donald. And then you just see him heal himself. I'm like, oh, you bastard.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into the news. We have a lot of news, and I would like to talk about E3 a little bit since that is next week.
Yeah,
which
it is.
Tentatively, I need to talk to Chris. I would expect us to record on Friday that week because we need to set aside some extra time. So expect either a couple, like multiple short podcasts that sort of hit your feed throughout the weekend, or expect like one really long podcast, which I would almost rather do the short ones, but we'll figure it out when Chris gets back.
Yeah, doing short might work better.
Who's going on Thursday then? 'Cause I imagine we're just holding off just to get E3 out of the so we can.
No, it's because we play D&D on Thursday, and he can't be here till 5:30. So I don't want to just set an hour and a half aside to record. Which if you don't want to be there, you don't have to be, because we can just record off my laptop and I can send it to you, which I kept forgetting to do when you were gone.
Or
Please
you
don't
guys
ever
can start
leave.
recording E3 and then I can just join.
No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we'll see.
On our news this week, Nintendo held another Pokemon Direct this week, this time for Sword and Shield. Here are the bullet points. Stop me if you're interested, although I'm going to stop almost immediately. A new system called Dynamax has been announced. This battle option will make your Pokemon giant for 3 turns, once per battle.
It also makes your Pokemon look really silly, because Pokemon should not be that big.
So, in previous generations, I've had this feeling that like old school Pokemon fans are kind of annoying. Like some new system gets announced in an early announcement for the game, and people come out and they're like, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The design of these Pokemon are awful," and blah 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 blah. This is the first year where I've become that person.
Yeah,
like this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a Pokemon game, and I'm like, I'm legitimately mad about it for no good reason. It's like why do we need? I mean, aside from the fact we talked about this in the pre-show,
yeah,
that no one gets to listen to.
Pre-show, it's just us having a conversation.
Well, it's literally pre-show. To be fair, but it's like they're just trying to justify raid Pokemon.
Yeah,
which no one needs. I've never played a Pokemon raid, and I'm like, wait, how would this work in real Pokemon?
Or it's like, what were you saying about the Dragonair or the Dragonite?
Yeah, and then people online are like, oh, well, now we finally have a reason why that giant Dragonite was in the original season of the anime. It's like, no one needs that. Just leave it alone. Just let Pokemon be what they are. Like, Mega Pokemon are really cool. Maybe just add more of those.
Yeah, like it would have been really cool to see more Mega Evolutions or something in the vein of that, because they even did some cool stuff with the Alolan Pokemon in Sun and Moon as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like just Dynamax, one, it seems really like half-baked.
And corny.
And it's just like during the Direct, and maybe there will be more strategy involved in the actual game, but during the Direct they talk about how this is an added layer of strategy that now you have to think about during the game because you can only do it once per battle. Sometimes you're going to be fighting against enemies who could be permanent, Dynamax, like raid bosses are kind of permanent Dynamax size. Or if you're in like a stadium battle and your enemy or the person you're going against does it. And it's like, I mean, I guess that's an added layer of strategy, but is it? Because I'm just going to wait to go Dynamax once they do it.
Also,
so that way I don't die immediately.
Pokemon games are never hard enough to where you need a strategy.
I mean, true.
Like as like an 8-year-old, I basically beat the game with like a level 100 Typhlosion.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that was like the only Pokemon I used.
yeah, I mean, just bigger number equals better.
Yeah.
Usually.
So we'll see, but more stuff. Again, stop me if you care. 4 Pokemon trainers can team up to fight and capture wild Dynamax Pokemon like raids in Pokemon Go.
I like that whenever you defeat them, you have the option to capture it.
You
so
throw
then
a
your
beach
character,
ball at them.
You throw a comically huge Pokeball at this Pokemon. I was like, oh my goodness, this just seems fake at this point.
Yeah. Sword and Shield will feature a random encounter system similar to the traditional games and the Let's Go games. You can still be surprised by unseen Pokemon, but wild Pokemon will roam the wilderness and initiate battles if you bump into them.
That did look pretty cool. Getting to see the different Pokemon as you're walking around, that's what people wanted.
It's one of my favorite parts about Let's Go,
Yeah.
is that like it made the world feel actually like kind of more real.
Yeah, and this
'Cause it's
next
like,
part
oh.
too adds to that as
Yeah.
well.
There is a new roaming area called the Wild Area. It will feature the widest range of Pokemon in the region, and the widest range of Pokemon in the region, and effects like time of day and weather will change the available Pokemon.
Yeah, that's really cool. I do like that.
Yeah.
That's something different. People
Controlling
kind
the
of wanted
camera,
that
it kind of has
before.
like an open world feel.
Yeah. They emphasized, controlling the camera. You're going to be able to see maybe like something flying in the sky that you might have not seen, and it's going to change the Pokemon that you see depending on the time of day, season. Like all that's really cool, and that's definitely stuff that they kind of got the idea from Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Depending on what the weather conditions were like. So I do really like that. It almost reminds me of kind of like an Animal Crossing too. Like you're just walking around, just seeing what's out there.
I was gonna say we're just slowly building to like Breath of the Wild style Pokemon, where you're just like roaming around, like finding all the secrets.
I mean, that's what everybody wants, really.
Right.
Eventually.
But yeah.
7 new Pokemon were shown. Wooloo, the sheep. Gossifleur, a flower Pokemon, and its evolution Eldegoss. Dreadnought, the angry turtle. And Corviknight, the armored raven. Also, the 2 legendaries are shown, and they're just dumb big cats with a shield face and a sword.
I thought they were dogs, but maybe they were cats.
I don't know. Sort of like the same thing when you talk about like the legendary beasts from the second generation. So are they dogs? Are they cats?
Oh, yeah. No, those are dogs. But yeah, so you were talking about it earlier, how some people complain about the Pokemon design and whatnot. I actually kind of liked most of these. Like Dreadnought, I thought looked really cool.
I think...
And I'd like Corviknight as well.
I don't really ever have a huge issue with Pokemon design. Like there are some generations I like way more than others. I just like my thing with Pokemon is like I feel like since the 5th generation, just the main legendaries have gotten so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That it's just like I have a hard time like taking them seriously. Also, who uses legendary Pokemon? I've never captured a legendary and then like put it in my party, unless it's like one of like the roaming legendaries.
That's fair.
But I've never been like, oh, I caught Kyogre, now you're on my team. Hello.
I know. And I hate that I can hardly pronounce the names of these 2 legendaries.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would be something simple, and they're both not.
Shield Face and Sword Mouth.
I was just trying to look it up, and then it was like Kevin Knight. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's not Kevin Knight.
You can still customize your appearance, which should never leave a Pokemon game again. And the game will release on November 15th, 2019.
Yeah. All that being said, I'll still get it.
If I have a Switch, I will. Which honestly, like right now, my biggest reason to buy a Switch is just Fire Emblem, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good reason to buy a Switch. Yeah. But I don't know. I also like it's as much as like I want to say that this is the first time I've ever been like disappointed with an announcement of a Pokemon game. Like I never finished X and Y or the Alola game, Sun and Moon. And so like I think I'm finally at the point after 5 generations of games where I'm like I'm probably a little too old for like traditional Pokemon.
What are these Pokemon games?
Did you find them? Did you find them?
Oh no.
Oh no, you're just engaged in the conversation. I thought he was like waiting for his turn to like talk.
No.
So yeah, those are my final thoughts. Any final thoughts about Pokemon?
I don't think so. Like I said, I'll probably end up getting this. It looks like a Pokemon game.
Looks like Pokemon. Justin T. Lopez box quote.
Yeah, for real. It's Pokemon.
Oh, looks like Pokemans to me.
Google Stadia will launch in November 2019 exclusively through the Stadia Founders Bundle, which will include a limited edition controller, a Chromecast Ultra, a 3-month subscription to the service, first chance to claim a Stadia name, and a 3-month buddy pass to give Stadia Pro to a friend, all for $129.99. Stadia Pro is a subscription service that allows players to get deals on games, free games, and better streaming capabilities. Stadia Pro will be required to play games in 4K, 60 frames per second, and in HDR. It will cost $9.99 a month.
Also in that bundle, it comes with Destiny 2.
No, it doesn't.
Does it not?
No.
I thought that's what I read.
It is for a limited time around the launch of Stadia. You will have access to all of the Destiny content, including the new expansion, for free. But it does not include Destiny for free. From what I read, someone correct me if I'm wrong. Tweet at Darth Trey and call me an idiot. But from what I understand, it's a limited time that's available.
Gotcha. Okay, because that did. Yeah, I don't know. I want to look more into that because I remember seeing that and thinking to myself like that seems like a really really good deal to be bundled with that. Yeah, I watched Google. I watched kind of like a summary of their announcement for this. I don't know what y'all's thoughts on it were, but
I didn't watch it.
I thought it looked pretty cool, honestly, especially for the $129 price range. That is not that scary of an investment. Like I was looking at it. And I still am heavily considering, like, you know, like I'm not usually one to hop on a new piece of technology, a new service like this, especially when hasn't come out yet. Mm-hmm. But for $129, like that's not that big of a risk to take.
Yeah. Right.
According to the Stadia Pro perks, limited time access to Destiny 2 and its expansions.
Okay,
it's from IGN.com.
Gotcha. So for a limited time.
So I guess here's the thing I'm confused about. Do you need a pass to play any games on the Stadia Pro?
From what I understand, no. What I gathered was that it's a streaming service, and you can purchase games through it. So you can go and buy Destiny for $60 from it, and then you have access to the game. But to get these higher level perks, which the main perk there, I think for most gamers would be HDR, 4K, and 60 frames per second. To get that perk, you have to pay for Pro.
Sure.
Okay. But all those other things are like benefits that you add on to it. But the thing about that $129 bundle that I was thinking about is that because they're only right at the beginning, they're exclusively launching it through that bundle, aside from people that get like buddy passes from their friends. To me, it seems kind of silly because realistically, all you would have to pay is $10.99 if you want Pro, $60 for a game, plug in your PS4 controller, and then open up Chrome.
That's true.
So the $129 investment doesn't make sense to me. And the controller doesn't look like anything special. I think the biggest special thing that it does is the way that it connects directly through Wi-Fi to the servers. But realistically, I could just pick up my PlayStation controller and have the same amount of access as someone who spent $130.
Yeah, the controller does some interesting things, mainly with like capturing and sharing. Whenever they were talking about it, they were getting really into it, and it seems cool if you want to share your stuff to like YouTube, because it seems like just by using this controller, you can basically stream and stuff directly from, like you have the capability to do
only through the controller.
It seemed like it,
because the PlayStation controller for sure has direct functionality. Like there's literally a share button on the PlayStation controller.
That's true,
and it does all that same stuff, unless Stadia does it in a different way. I didn't watch the thing.
It might be through the Chromecast.
Maybe. I think because it does come with a Chromecast as well, but I don't know how Google, I don't know why they would limit that to the Chromecast. And again, if it's limited to the Chromecast, everyone has a fucking Chromecast. I can go get one for like $20 right now.
Yeah, it's not.
None of this is like none of this is me shitting on Stadia, because honestly, like, to me, that the 129 price point isn't ridiculous, but as a consumer, you couldn't convince me to pay that money. Like, I absolutely could not be convinced to pay that money on it, because it's not a console. Like, to me, there is no double or triple digit number that is worth the price of a streaming service.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe
that we don't
maybe
even know
when
is reliable.
Right? Yeah, maybe whenever more information comes out on, because it talks about how doing this also gets you deals and free games and whatnot. If those free games are worth, like, if you were planning on getting two $60 games, then theoretically that kind of pays for itself.
Well, the subscription, I think, for $9.99 a month, there's not a whole lot of subscription services that you can't convince me to buy.
Yeah.
But, you know, aside from the fact that, like, the subscription service at the beginning sounds like it's going to be exclusive through people that buy that bundle, like, I would rather wait, pay the $9.99, plug in my PlayStation controller, and then not have to worry about dropping $130 on something.
True.
And maybe if I watched like the conference, my opinion on that would change. But just sort of from an outside looking in perspective, as someone who's already sort of a skeptic about the reliability, I think this is obviously the future. But we're also at a point where, you know, internet service providers can start charging you for the amount of data that you use.
Right.
And reliable internet is not easily accessible in the United States. Even in our area, there are places like in Seguin where you can't get internet at all.
Yeah.
And so,
or it had to be like dish, like internet, like satellite.
yeah. So, you know, this isn't like a PS5 where it's a proven product and I'll drop the money on it, because there's a long history of good consoles. You have to prove to me as a consumer, which means that you should make my buy-in at launch as little as possible. And if I like the service, as someone who spends ridiculous amounts of money on things that I love, I will pay more money to get a better experience if the controller offers that, or if the Chromecast offers that. But don't put weird gates at the beginning when you're not even a proven source of entertainment.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess for me, maybe I'm giving Google too much credit, because I look at Google. There's been a few times where Google will come out with some sort of technology, and it always really piques my interest, and I always almost buy into, you know, the beta testers or being like an early adopter of these things. Like, I almost got one of those the Google Glass, like the little glasses.
Right. That would have been the worst investment.
Oh, I know that now. Hindsight 2020. No thanks to the glasses. But I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I feel like I'm getting that way with Stadia. It's like, it's really cool, at least the way they're presenting it. Even in the press conference, too, they kind of showed an example of you're watching a YouTube video of someone playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And then at the end of the YouTube video, you know, where it usually comes up with the thumbnails of like, you know, click here for the next video. There was a thumbnail that's like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, play now. And literally they click the button, and then within 3 seconds you're playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
which is neat.
It's very cool.
All that's really cool, but then you look on the other side of that, because you have to pay for it.
Right, of course.
So you drop $60 on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and then your internet is out.
Yeah. And see, that was another thing that I kind of caught myself thinking about whenever they were talking about the controller, because they were talking about how the controller connects through Wi-Fi. And then in my head, I was like,
that literally would not function.
Well,
if it could function at all.
Not only that, in my head, for a second, I forgot what Stadia was. So for a little bit, I was like, why would they not just have it go through Bluetooth? What if you don't have Wi-Fi? And then I was thinking, like, wait, if you don't have Wi-Fi, you're not playing this anyways.
But you got to take a look at it too. They're also an ISP, so probably from their perspective too is like, well, we just give out fiber. Why would there be anything less? So it's almost like it's propping them up to be a better alternative to service providers as well.
Yeah, well, which is fair enough, aside from the fact that they only are internet service providers in like limited big cities in the United States.
That's true. Yeah,
like that's the thing about Google, is that like from a software side, I think that they do a mostly good job with software. I enjoy most of their software, but from a hardware and like consumer standpoint, I don't think they do a good job. And I think they give up on shit a lot too. You could totally get invested in the Stadia ecosystem and drop, you know, $1,000 on games, and then a year from now, they're like, well, maybe not a year from now, 5 years from now, Stadia's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think it's just maybe it's because they have like they have the resources to shell out and be like the first adopters, so to speak. And then if like the market doesn't say so, they're just like, whatever.
Google has that safety net, of course, and I think they're capitalizing on the one thing that they have an abundance of. They have servers. They have amazing computers that work better, probably arguably better than any computer on the world, for the most part.
God, I would hope so.
Correct. So basically being able to rent that server space out to people so that way they can use it to run their games, I mean, it's smart. Whether or not it works, we'll see.
And again, like I've made this argument on the podcast way before Stadia was a thing. This is the future of gaming.
Yep.
And developers and publishers want this. They do not want a $400, $500, $600 box to get between you and playing their games. If they could find a reliable way to support this sort of ecosystem and completely cut away from Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, they would do it. And honestly, like if you want to talk about gaming as a hobby, this is the most accessible future. Whether or not we're ready for it, I don't know. And I'm more inclined to say that we're not. But eventually, this is how all games are going to go. I mean, like buy a smart TV now, like especially a smart TV from Sony. The software that like you use to select like whatever apps you're starting is literally the cross media bar from PlayStation 3.
Yep.
Like. This is the future, and I think it's a good future when shit works.
Right.
Yeah. So. I'm here for it. I'm here for the future. Bring it on.
Now we get into Trey's good day, because these next two news stories like made my day. This I've been looking forward to these two things all week, and I thought I'd have to wait a week for this next story. Baldur's Gate 3 was officially announced during the Google Stadia Connect conference. The game is being developed by Larian Studios, and as the rumor suggested, and appears to heavily feature Mind Flayers as the main protagonists.
What?
While the game has been in development for some time, very few details were shared about the game. Larian CEO Swin Venke, did say, quote, "It's our biggest game ever," end quote. According to the developers, the studio made the deal to develop the game with Wizards of the Coast during the development of Divinity Original Sin 2. Quote, "The agreement is that we respect their lore and that we base ourselves in D&D 5th edition. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. They want us to make a really good video game that feels like you're playing Dungeons and Dragons on your computer," end quote. Larian did also reveal that the upcoming Baldur's Gate Ascent into Avernus is the prequel to the events in the upcoming game. This is all I want from life.
That was refreshingly honest.
Yeah. Larian Studios, which I already think they're probably my favorite CRPG developer right now. I just really like the style of their games. I like how fast they are. I like how they are classic but with a modern appeal. D&D is literally what I think about on an hourly basis anymore. And Pathfinder Kingmaker, which came out last year, proves that like you can take a tabletop game and make it a video game and really respect that system. Yeah. But also, like, we're at a really good point for D&D as a hobby. Like, everyone knows about it now. A lot of people are playing it. A lot of people are interested in playing it. And one of the best ways to teach someone the game is to literally put those systems in the game and have it function. And also, it's a sequel to one of BioWare's, earliest RPGs that literally defined Western RPGs as a genre. Mm-hmm. So this is the best news of the week, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while since we had the conversation. Probably early last year, whenever we were really, really getting into D&D, mm-hmm. probably a year ago from around this time, honestly, where we talked about D&D being a video game and all the different possibilities of it, and would it even be possible, and yada, yada, yada. And I think this might be one of the, at least for now, probably the closest you're going to get to it.
Well, originally Divinity Original Sin 2, I thought was the closest.
I agree.
There's a lot of freedom in that game, and there's a lot of different ways that you can approach problems that are specifically based on your quote unquote characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we had a lot of fun with Divinity Original Sin 2. And then if this can accomplish what we're hoping it can, and what they seem like, they're confident that they can do. It'll definitely be an easy gateway to D&D for people, or people who enjoy playing D&D, but you might not have a party to play with. Like, this is a good vice for people who, like, D&D is very much like a lifestyle now. Like, it is definitely something that you think about a lot of. That, like you said, like, it's pretty popular now. There's not so much a stigma around it.
Yeah.
that if you play D&D, you're smelly and weird.
Although,
this
in a lot of cases. No.
right, yeah, you're just smelly and weird. It has nothing to do with playing D&D.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I'm actually pretty excited about this. I never played Baldur's Gate, but watching people play it online, keeping up with the news, watching development of it, like this is really cool.
Yeah.
It's in good hands. Yeah.
It is in good hands. It couldn't be I don't think it could be in better hands, especially since BioWare is not the same company they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True. Do we know which BioWare's working on this?
What? No, Larian's working on it.
Oh yeah. My bad.
What is wrong with you? We were literally talking about Divinity Original Sin 2.
But they made Baldur's Gate originally.
Yeah, BioWare did the first two before other studios remade it. All right, here we go. Destiny 2 had its reveal event for its upcoming Destiny had Destiny 2. I typed these notes up so quick. I was in such a rush. Destiny 2 had its reveal event for the upcoming expansion to the title. Here are the Cliff Note versions of what happened. Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. Stop me if you guys are interested, and I'll probably just sum things up at the end. Destiny 2 Shadowkeep is the new expansion to Destiny 2. It will allow Guardians to return to the moon and fight against the Hive alongside Eris from Destiny 1. The expansion will feature a new raid set in the Black Garden and will cost $35. Bungie has finally acknowledged Destiny as an MMO. With Shadowkeep, the developers plan on focusing more on character stats and the player's ability to customize loadouts for their character. Destiny 2 will feature cross-save, not cross-play. Players can move their characters from console to PC to play with their friends. Again, stop me if you care. Destiny 2 will be coming to Google Stadia and Steam. Destiny 2 will now offer a free-to-play version called New Light that features the first level of Destiny 2 remastered in of Destiny 1 remastered in Destiny 2. And according to the developers, New Guardians will start at power level 750, the current season max, and the entry point for the upcoming expansion. The mode is expected to launch around the same time as Shadowkeep and will feature all of the Destiny 2 Year 1 content. A new version of Destiny 2 has been released, which will include all of the available content for the game at $40. And last but certainly not least, seasons will still feature premium content, but players will no longer be required to purchase a season pass in order to access said content.
It's going to be all a la carte.
Yeah, that was the exact wording.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be interesting to hear this release, because then you start seeing all the Activision barriers just kind of melt away.
Yeah,
and they were they never called out Activision in this.
They called them capital reasons. Capital R reasons.
Capital R reasons is I liked the subtle shade of we finally got to do this that was some capital R reasons were stopping us from doing. I don't know where do you want to start?
So if you were to ask me, because when they announced they were doing this, I was like, oh, they're gonna show off an expansion, whatever, which is fine. I think a Destiny expansion is fine. But if you were to ask me a week ago, what a checklist of things I would want from a Destiny expansion announcement, this checked off most, if not all of them.
Yeah.
Cross save is something I've been asking for the longest time. Too bad it's not cross play, but I don't think that's too far away. Yeah. And I really think Stadia is going to be pushing real hard to get Microsoft and Sony to play ball with crossplay, because they aren't going to have as big of a community, at least at the beginning.
And cross save is definitely kind of an entry point for that, because it's more or less kind of the same thing. You can if you're playing by yourself, sure, play on PC if that's what you want to play. But then as soon as Chris logs on and he's like, "Hey, you want to play on PlayStation?"
Yeah,
just go hop over there
and get all the shit I had on PC, move it to console.
Exactly. So it's kind of good, I guess. It's a start.
it's an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have Bungie, they literally said the words within the first 3 minutes of Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy talking. They literally said quotes Destiny is an MMO. And for them to acknowledge that, after years and years of them avoiding it, it was nice of them to acknowledge what we've been saying. Mm-hmm. And I feel a lot of this are things that I said were eventually going to happen to the game. And maybe Activision was stopping them, and maybe Activision was stopping them from calling it an MMO.
Spaghetti.
I don't know, but like the fact that they acknowledged it was like such a good step forward. Like it means that they can like make the game for what it is. I don't really care about the Stadia and Steam stuff. The free to play mode I think is actually kind of clever. A lot of people are mad about it, but whatever. Like if Justin, I'm playing Destiny 2. When Shadowkeep comes out and you're like, man, I really want to jump in, but I don't know if it's worth it to drop $60 on all the content. You can jump in for free. We can play together and you're not that far behind me, which means that I don't have to repeat a bunch of old shitty content. And you have access to pretty much every planet in the game. You have access to the entire first story, the entire first year of strikes. Like if you want your friends to join the game with you, this is a really good way to get them in.
Yeah. I felt like that was possibly a long time coming, especially because I mean they gave away Destiny 2 multiple times for free. It was a free game on PS4, PC. I think they had it for free for a few weeks. I mean they definitely gave people multiple chances to get it for free. So it's kind of cool that they're here you go. It gets rid of that entry point.
Yep.
And I mean maybe they're learning from successful games like Fortnite or other. Just those really successful free-to-play games. Like it makes sense. It's a good model, and it's cool that Destiny's embracing something that we're not seeing a lot of in that AAA, mainly console titles. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Because technically they're an indie developer now.
Yeah,
Bungie.
Well, I mean, they're entirely independent. They're self-publishing, and they're developing it. Even a lot of indie developers are still getting published by bigger studios.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like like that's like acknowledging Trump for his being successful off of his father's like multi-million-dollar loan.
I don't think that Destiny is an indie game.
Right.
He's more of a Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think
Bungie was set up well compared to some indie developers.
I don't think that Destiny's an indie game, but I think that Bungie is like the most independent company out there, by definition.
Yeah, true.
I'm really happy that I don't have to buy season passes anymore. The one thing that did frustrate me about this is that Datto was sort of interviewing and asking questions to various groups of developers at the end of it, and at one point he asked, "Hey, so are you guys dropping the price of the Forsaken season pass? What are you doing?" And that's when they announced the price point for the Destiny bundle that exists right now, which is $40, and the season pass is $35. They completely avoided like answering anything about the current season pass, and that's really frustrating to me. Luckily, starting tomorrow, for those of you that are interested in jumping back into Destiny 2 and have everything up to Forsaken, starting tomorrow, it's going to be on sale, at least through PlayStation, for $15. So I'm picking it up tomorrow. But like as a fan who specifically jumped off because I felt like that was a shitty business model, it seems really crappy for them to completely like avoid addressing the season pass issue. Because like alternatively, like had they not had a sale on it tomorrow, I would have had to spend $35 when the entire game, including all the DLC, is $40.
Yeah.
And that's shitty because even up to the point where I'm a consumer, I spent $60 on the base game, $30 on the first season pass, $40 on Forsaken. So I've already put in more money than the person picking it up at $40. Just throw me a fucking bone and drop the price of the season pass.
Or, I mean, obviously they're not going to do this, but I don't think it would be that outrageous to even just give it to you for free. Like,
I don't think it would either.
Hey, thank you for sticking with us through everything, for supporting us, for, being with us good times and bad. Here's all the expansions that you don't have. Let's catch you up. If you've already invested this much money, we wouldn't be here without people like you. Here you go. Because otherwise you're incentivizing, you're encouraging, or not encouraging, you are awarding people for just hopping on late to the game. Now that things are going to be coming, in spades.
Well, and that was one of the biggest complaints in the stream was people like, I want a refund because you're giving me all this stuff away for free. I don't regret buying anything at launch. But, for me, someone who has bought every Destiny expansion on day and date, who's pre-ordered shit and done it for 2 entire games, I think the least you can do is just kind of throw me a bone for the one thing that I'm just sort of dissatisfied about. And I don't think I'm the only one.
Yeah, I guess it's just the hard situation of no matter what it is, whether it be Destiny, whether it be any game, if you're an early adopter, like, you're getting the short end of the stick. You're getting something that if I wait to get a couple months, 6 months down the road, I'm getting a better deal because it'll probably be cheaper and I probably get more content than you did day one.
And honestly, I'm fine with that. Like, I want you to jump in, and I want you to be able to play at a reasonable price point, because like nothing was worse in the days of WoW when you had to buy expansions and someone's like, come play WoW. And it's like, as a consumer, I don't know what I need. I know I need the base game, but do I also need the 15 expansions from 10 years ago?
Right.
Or do I just need the one most recent expansion? If I don't have the other expansions, how's that going to affect my game? Like, I literally didn't play WoW for the longest time because it was way too complicated. and so for like me trying to get someone into the game, it's like, hey man, I really think you'd like this game, but like, go drop $120 to get all the things that you need.
Yeah, it is going to be weird though, having people be able to just have the base game and then just pick and choose the expansions that they want. I mean, I don't know, it'll be different.
Well, and realistically, as someone who's played everything except for the new content and the last Wish raid, hopefully I won't even know. Like, I don't think regular players will really notice. I think people that like you, for instance, like if you jumped in and started playing on PS4 and used the New Light thing, it might be really weird for you because you've already played through the game like on Xbox,
Yeah, true. Oh, we'll see. But I always encourage, I like seeing companies do different things.
Me too.
And I mean, since Bungie is an indie developer, it's a good chance for them to do it. They don't have Activision, controlling the reins.
And one of the other things about this, the main thing about this announcement that I think is the important thing to take away is that all this stuff that they're talking about for Destiny 2 doesn't really matter, because I don't think that it's going to have such a drastic effect on how Destiny 2 functions as a game. The reason why a lot of the stuff they're talking about is really important is because this is obviously things that they're keeping in mind for Destiny 3 whenever that happens, which at this point, I'm not even convinced we need a Destiny 3. If they can completely overhaul the armor system the way that they're doing it to encourage like modular stat choosing, then I don't know that I need a Destiny 3.
So when it's interesting you bring that up. Whenever I saw this announcement and I saw that they were going to start doing the whole free-to-play Destiny 2 New Light, I was really hoping that they would drop the 2 and it would just be Destiny New Light. So that way this could basically be the platform that they build everything off of. Because if this is successful, like I think it should be, at least in a Resurgence kind of way, this would work perfect. So more than likely we will get a Destiny 3. Will it be called Destiny 3? Maybe not.
Maybe not. And I don't think it should be. Like, honestly, if I was Mr. CEO Bungie,
Mr. Bungie.
Yeah, Mr. Bungie himself, I would look at my team and I would be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep Destiny 2 as long as we can, because obviously we have a new generation of consoles coming out, and really, like, there's no reason to launch a Destiny 3 anytime soon. But we're not going to call it Destiny 3. We are going to remaster all of the content from Destiny 1, all of the content from Destiny 2, and we're going to do a huge chunk of content. We're just going to make one huge fucking game and release it. Now, there are tons of complicated reasons why that probably would never work.
Right.
But like, they were literally talking in the stream about how one of the reasons they decided to go with the moon as the location of this DLC is because they imported the moon from Destiny 1 and were playing with the lighting features in Destiny 2. And it's like, you guys fucked up hardcore, because that's going to be thrown at you every time someone asks for you to like put all the raids from the first game in this one.
Oh yeah. Once people know, like, oh, you can just copy and paste basically something in there and just change the lighting.
Export his .destiny 2.
Yeah, for real. Anything would. So I'm not big on Destiny lore. This expansion, so Shadowkeep, is it cool to have Eris coming back?
I mean, maybe. I it's hard for me to like really care about the specifics of this, because I think all the other news is so much more exciting than this. Like, this is another Destiny expansion, and really, like, Taken King was great. Rise of Iron was pretty good, not amazing. Forsaken's one of the best Destiny products that have ever come out. Like, you don't need to convince me that Shadowkeep is going to be good, or whether or not the lore matters. I think the biggest thing And part of the reason why I want to back off a little bit from the statement I made earlier about Destiny 2 not needing a sequel, like just expand on this, is that, you know, they said multiple times during the trailer, like, the darkness is closer than you think. And that statement there is like, oh, Destiny 3 is right on the horizon. And I think this might be a good thing to sort of tie us over from Destiny 2 to Destiny 3 if that's what they're planning on doing. Which really is like sort of the first time since the base story in the first game that they've sort of like gone back and even addressed the darkness in like that direct way. Like Oryx had some weird stuff with it, but really like since the end of that game, like the darkness has sort of been like this distant idea rather than an actual enemy.
Yeah.
Also, before we move on to our final main news story, I want to put out there that unless shit just goes haywire next week, I'm pretty sure that I got a point for my 2019 predictions. Because one of my points was they're not going to like show off or talk about Destiny 3 in any real capacity, which is exciting. Because I like getting points. Last but certainly not least, following a leak, in quotes, Ubisoft confirmed that Watch Dogs confirmed Watch Dogs Legion for E3 2019. Legion will reportedly be set in a post-Brexit London, making it the first game in the series outside of the US. Previous installments took place in Chicago and San Francisco. Aside from the new location, the big shift appears to be the ability to take control of any non-player character in the world. Quote, every individual you meet in the open world has a full set of animations, voiceover, character traits, and visuals that are going to be generated and guided by gameplay systems, end quote. Read a since-deleted Amazon posting.
That's neat. I never got into Watch Dogs, so I was never big on Ubisoft to begin with.
First Watch Dogs game, it's not awful, it's just not good.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, I think I would like Watch Dogs 2. I'm sure I'd like Watch Dogs Legion, but the first one was just so sort of like just a pile of lies that it was really hard for me to like get past that.
Well, that came out roughly around the time where Ubisoft was very much like...
They were in the fucking gutter.
Yeah, it was
because they were liars.
Right. They were, I mean, sure, yeah, they were liars, and then also everything on Reddit and the internet was just, here's this Ubisoft bug of animations just freaking out, and it's just there's a lot of it just broken animation in their games. So that's the thing I remember about Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed.
To be fair, like calling them liars is a kind of a joke. Not really. I think they were just the first people to get caught. But you know, like now, Anthem being the prime example, studios are totally making fake E3 demos for their games that are way better than how the game actually comes about.
Yeah.
And if you want to know more about that, watch the Raising Kratos documentary. Finish God of War and watch that, because that's pretty much a big portion of their thing is how they made like a vertical slice for E3 and they came back and they're like, well, we have to live up to that.
Yeah, we have to deliver on that. Yeah. Which isn't bad, I guess, but
yeah.
Speaking of Anthem, though, did you see that Cataclysm came out? And
I think it's in the public test realm right now, or public test server right now. I don't think it's actually out.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's basically like, from what I understand, it's Anthem, but there's like a weird filter.
Yeah, there's like a blue filter. You're just kind of, you're trying to stay in a certain zone, otherwise you're just taking damage.
Yeah.
And it's very much still, you're just doing the same stuff that you were doing before. The boss, or I guess like the raid bosses, or they basically just feel like Titans.
I just sort of like, part of me feels like a little bit of a sense of freedom because Chris isn't here, that I could say things and not know that someone's not going to immediately jump down my throat and tell me I'm wrong. Chris, I love you to death if you're listening to this.
He hasn't made it this far.
But one of the things that I just think is so funny, or not funny, but just kind of sad, is that like up until this point, up until like sort of the Cataclysm news was happening, I still believed that there was hope for this game, and now I'm just not convinced. Like this game is in my mind categorized as dead. Like I've already made the mental tombstone, and I'm putting it in, the graveyard of other games right next to Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yep.
I don't see how they get back from this, and if they do, that's amazing. But I think the odds are so stacked against them.
Yeah, it would be one thing if it was bad publicity, like if they were just getting shit on in the media, but they still had a really dedicated player base. but they don't even have that.
No.
Like, they can't. They can barely hold on to the people that are already playing, and even then, it drops every single day.
Yeah.
You know, they can't even cater to the people that want to keep playing. It's like there are people who kind of have the same opinion as Chris. Like they enjoy the game. The game is fun. Even I like the game was fun whenever I played it. And there are people still playing it who think it is fun, and they enjoy playing it. They enjoy having fun, but they're not getting rewarded with the loot. They're still playing a broken game.
Well, and even if you look at it from a gameplay, because I've been thinking about this, and again, I feel like if Chris hears this, I'll immediately get a text with him arguing with me. But, you know, Anthem was fun, but it was never as fun as like Destiny, and it was never as fun as like the beta that we played for Division 2. Like the gameplay never had that same sort of sticking power as those other games where like things I never got the same sort of satisfaction. There was satisfaction there, but like, you know, I think part of the games as service model is that the gameplay loop has to be tight. And that's what Destiny is always. That's the one place where Destiny has always outclassed competitor games in its field, like Warframe, Division. Every other game is that has taken that games as service shooter model. Like Destiny has destroyed them because that gameplay loop is so solid. It's classic Bungie. That's what Bungie was made to do, is make a really good, solid gameplay loop that felt really good. And Anthem never really had that. It had a different one, and it was good, but it was never good enough to where I felt like, even in Destiny, if I don't get the drop that I want from something, I still like had that satisfaction of like, oh, that was so cool. Like, remember when I did that cool thing and I jumped up and destroyed a bunch of shit and it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that was the thing about Anthem, is just it didn't have that final polish almost. Like it was fun, and the mobility aspect of it was very different than Destiny. It's not all stagnant and you're just fighting this raid boss. You know, you're flying around, you're doing what you got to do, you're working as a team. That was really cool, but it didn't have that polish. Like it felt very much it feels like a free to play game almost, you know. I feel like it has that same look and that feel of a game that would be free to play. I mean, even Warframe had more polish, I feel, than Anthem did in some ways.
Yeah.
Anthem, in my opinion, is I don't think it's better than Warframe. I enjoyed the story of Anthem better.
I think the world is better in Anthem, but like in terms of just a game existing,
right?
I feel like Warframe outclasses it.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think Anthem is just it's unrecoverable. I don't know. It's a lost cause.
I think it going free to play is probably going to be the first step if they ever recover it. I still
honestly,
stand by that rant I went on a couple weeks ago about it being free to play.
I don't know if they will go free to play, because
what do they have to lose?
Whatever remaining money people spend on the game, I don't know.
Again, like what do they have to lose? Like who's spending money on this game?
I don't know. I think they're holding on to maybe people possibly just buying this game and just getting a few $1,000 more. I don't even know.
1,000%. What I would do is just stock up the store and then launch it to free to play.
The problem is they never even did anything cool in the store.
Which means that they
vinyls,
which means that they could totally like add a bunch of shit and trick all the new players.
True. Very true.
You get 1,000 people to spend $10 in your game. That's $10,000 right there.
I guess, but even then, we see free to play games kind of rise and fall too. Because Apex Legends was popular for about a month, or
it's still really popular.
It's popular, but the popularity
is Fortnite.
Yeah, which is still
Like Apex still has a pretty high player count, but like Fortnite just keeps coming back.
That's true. You know what else came back hard? Minecraft.
I know, it came out of nowhere.
Lots of people are all over Minecraft right now.
There was like a point last year where I was like, again, like, you know, putting new things in my mental graveyard, and Minecraft was one of them. And I feel like in like the last like 6 months, it's like, no, Minecraft is here to stay. And I was like, why?
Yeah, like Minecraft is cool again. My brother texted me and he was like, hey,
how old's your brother?
He just turned, how old am I? He's 15.
Wow.
And he was like, hey, how's y'all's podcast going? I was like, oh, it's going pretty good. He was
you
like,
can listen to it on iTunes and Google Play Store.
Right, yeah. Here's our link. Share it with your friends.
Subscribe. Ding the bell.
Yeah. But he was like, yeah, I haven't seen y'all stream any games in a while. And I was like, oh yeah. And, you know, I kind of explained to him what was going on. And then I asked him, I was like, well, like what are some things that you y'all's age, kids your age, kids these days.
What are the kids playing?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what is something that y'all would watch streaming? And he was like, he pretty much said like Apex is dead. Fortnite isn't really cool anymore. Like people don't really like Fortnite. He's like Minecraft. Minecraft is big right now. I was like, really? Minecraft?
Can you imagine trying
Again?
to convince fucking Chris to do a Minecraft stream? I would do it just to like listen to Chris bitch about it.
That'd be really good.
Rumor mill. Kotaku has reported an internal shift at Blizzard, citing 3 sources who reported that the company, has allegedly canceled an unannounced StarCraft first-person shooter. According to the rumor, this cancellation was made in order to shift resources to the unannounced Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 development teams. Kotaku reached out for a comment from Blizzard, and the spokesperson said, quote, "The reason we tend not to discuss upcoming projects publicly is because anything can happen over the course of development." And then they sent a really long statement that basically just reiterated that in a bunch of words that don't matter.
Okay. So, I mean, they didn't say no. None of that's true. They're just like, we can't talk about it this time.
I feel like you can't fuck with Kotaku. Like if Kotaku comes to you and they're like, "So, I heard the CEO killed his baby and then used his skin to make the boxes for your upcoming sequel to your game." If you lie to Kotaku, you're like the biggest dick in the industry. Because Kotaku isn't going to accuse you of turning your baby into game boxes for no reason.
Right. They do have reliable sources. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm not sad about a canceled StarCraft first-person shooter.
I mean, it's not like it's the first time that this has happened.
Right.
With
Yeah.
Project Ghost or whatever, which they just ended
the MMO that turned into Overwatch.
right.
Yeah.
So, not really sad about that. Diablo 4, I mean, that seems like a no-brainer, right? I mean, that's what everyone expected last year, and we got Diablo, what was it, Immortals or whatever,
Eternal.
whatever the mobile game was. Don't you have a phone? Overwatch 2 is the confusing thing. I don't know. That seems that seems not real to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they think they need an Overwatch 2. But then again, they've been hiring a lot for what has sounded like for like a year or two, people that are working on an Overwatch story.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really, outside of like the 1 yearly event, and really like I don't think they put a whole lot of effort into that. We haven't really seen those story elements sort of get in the game, so maybe that's part of why they're hiring those people.
It's possible. So like something I've been feeling, so I still play Overwatch like pretty much weekly, and something that me and Taylor and some of our other friends kind of feel about this is like we enjoy playing Overwatch, but over the years, like the events have just gotten more and more lackluster. Like they're putting less and less effort into it. So in some ways, I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on Overwatch 2. Like if that's the reason why less effort is getting put in.
They're taking some people away from their live team and have them working on the next game.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know if that would make me feel better or worse. Because then it's like, well, I'm still supporting this game. Like, can you still put some effort into it? Not just, here's Lucio Ball again. Here's Junkenstein's Revenge.
At least the character and the map quality hasn't gone down.
That's true. Like not like
the things that matter about that game are still good.
Yeah, that's fair. I wish there was more inventiveness or just something new to do in Overwatch rather than just Overwatch. But that is also why they did the whole Overwatch workshop.
Yeah,
to where it's like,
so we don't have to make effort.
Yeah, you just do your own thing, have fun, bye.
Yeah.
Which would tide people over until Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I convinced myself. Overwatch 2 coming this year.
Rumor mill. No, there's no way it's coming this year. There's way too much money in Overwatch League for them to just announce it in the middle of the season. Rumor mill number 2. So a bunch of the information that was in the Pokemon Direct was in a leak that came out like a week or two ago. And so there's sort of like new support that this leak might be real. So I just want to go through and talk about some of the leaked information. Sword and Shield will have the enemy team called Team Yell.
Yell?
Yell.
As in,
yeah.
Oh.
There will be an evil legendary Pokemon, which was sort of hinted at in the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like they were about to work together on something. The Sword and Shield Pokemon were about to team up back to back.
Now this part is just like when you talk about things that just like, if you want to sit down and piss me off, this is where you start.
Ooh, I'm excited.
In addition to Dynamaxing, there will also be the similar Gigantamaxing, which changes a Pokemon's appearance in addition to growing its size. 3 examples given are Meowth looking like a long cat, Lapras getting layers like musical bars to its shell and musical notes, and Pikachu looking like retro fat Pikachu.
Okay, now I refuse to believe any of that.
But like the evil legendary Pokemon was like totally hinted at in the trailer.
That's true, but I don't know. Like maybe it's like false, true, like Team Yell, false,
And also,
Pokemon
They're
is true.
hedging their bets.
That being said, like this next one is something that I would want to be true. Regional evolutions will be a thing, with Farfetch'd turning into Surfetch'd and Meowth looking like a ball of spiky gray fur. It is unclear if this literally means evolutions or if it's actually refers to regional variants like Alola.
Oh, yeah, like having
Which
different forms of
is
the same Pokemon.
The best thing that Sun and Moon added to.
Yeah, it was
the
super
game.
cool.
Which like I don't know if I'm gonna play this game or if I'm gonna get like super into it. But I'm excited for what that means for Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down for variations of Pokemon. Like it's cool to do that because then it's not really an evolution, but you can still mess with like the type. It changes how that Pokemon plays. You get some different character models. It's neat.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we don't get Gigantamax
Yep.
form, but
Yep. To challenge a gym leader, I'll skip over things I think are dumb or not interesting.
okay. And
to
I was like, no,
challenge-
I want to hear the dumb
not
stuff.
dumb, not interesting. To challenge a gym leader, you need to get an endorsement, which will then let you take on a gym challenge that needs to be completed before fighting them. 3 gym challenges are
letter of recommendation?
described. What?
A letter of recommendation.
Yeah. Including one where you have to herd Wooloo while avoiding a new electric corgi Pokemon called Pamper. I'm so happy about that.
An electric corgi. That sounds pretty cool.
The corgi Pokemon, down. I'm down. One where you navigate a maze with water blocking your path, and one where you have to catch Pokemon and get 5 points while in a team battle with another trainer who is also trying to catch them at the same time, which I think sounds really cool. You're like battling the trainer, but trying. Who the fuck is calling me? But you're battling the trainer, and you're battling the trainer, but you're also trying to catch the Pokemon.
I mean, that sounds cool.
Doesn't that sound really cool?
I don't know how it'll work, but it sounds cool.
Well, it's like a 3-way battle, except
Yeah.
like one of the things
one
that
of
you
them
and the
is-
trainer can do is that you can throw Pokeballs
Uh-huh.
because you probably still have to like try to get that Pokemon's health down.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
That sounds neat to me.
I mean, it sounds neat.
It's Gambit for Pokemon.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
Gambit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Camping will be a mechanic where and is where you play with Pokemon. It will also let you make curry and raise stats and use toys to raise friendship.
That sounds very, very, very likely. I
Yeah.
can see that.
Grookey's final evolution is a giant gorilla that uses a wood drum to attack.
Ooh. That's good
Sobel's
because I want to pick Grookey anyways.
Yeah. Sobel's evolutions are called Sisile and then Inteleon, and will have a spy theme to them, which makes sense because the invisibility thing.
Okay.
Scorbunny will have fighting moves, but is a pure, it says pure fighter, but I think that meant pure fire type.
Isn't that too much like what they did with Torchic?
Torchic and Fernape and Boar.
Well, you have a point.
Yeah. But it's not a fighting type. It's a pure fire type.
Oh, you said,
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought you said fighting.
Its second evolution is called Raboot, and its final evolution looks like a humanoid fighter. That's
I'm
another
not-
fucking thing. Like even like God, the Incineroar looks
Yeah.
like a fighting type.
Yeah.
Like all of them look like fighting types except for like Typhlosion and Charizard.
Yeah. And oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
All of them.
I
Oh, the witch one from the 6th generation.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the humanoid Pokemon forms. I always hate whenever you have a really cool Pokemon and then its final evolution is like, boom, I'm human. It's like, oh, man.
Well, I think
Why'd you have to go that
I
way?
think humanoid probably means more like anthropomorphic, right? Because
Yeah.
like, and Fernape is a badass.
But they look funny.
What?
I said they look funny. Well, not Infernape.
Yeah, and Fernape's like I feel like a lot of like
it's a monkey. I mean,
A lot of the anthropomorphic ones I think look cool, but then you have like weird ones like the middle evolution for Tepig. It's like the fat like luchador.
yep.
It's like, it looks so stupid.
Or even, I mean, I think Incineroar looks funny. Like it's just
And I think Incineroar, like Smash Brothers, I think I said that Smash Brothers convinced me that Incineroar is cool.
okay.
If it wasn't for that game, like seeing how he moves around in that game, I would have never liked Incineroar.
Yeah, he works well in Smash Bros.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
And then last up, a Blue Seagull Pokemon was described that will either get a Barracuda or a Pikachu in its mouth when it dives, which it then throws at the enemy. Literally don't know what that means.
I was
It's
like, is it
eating
an attack?
Pikachu
Is it
and then, like throwing it? I don't know.
Is it a game? I don't know. Weird, because it sounds like there's. I mean, from what it sounds like, there's like a mini games thrown in.
That's what it sounds
Somehow.
like. I don't know. All right, quick saves. We're gonna blow right through these, so maybe we can talk about E3 for a little bit. Days Gone has received a free update that adds a survival difficulty. After completing survival difficulty, players will earn new bike skins and trophies that are exclusive to the difficulty. Darksiders Genesis has been announced by THQ Nordic and Airship Syndicate, which I believe is the company that the artist from the original games created after that studio fell apart. The game is a spin-off to the main series and is coming out later this year on pretty much everything including Stadia. Genesis is a top-down action RPG with gameplay elements similar to Diablo. Every mainline Final Fantasy and spin-off soundtrack are now available to stream through Apple Music and Spotify. Naughty Dog has reported that they will be taking every Uncharted game and The Last of Us multiplayer servers offline this September. All of the multiplayer DLC for these games are now free. And last up, Sony doesn't know about the PS6. In an interview with CNET, PlayStation CEO... I forgot to put his name in here. The PlayStation CEO said the following regarding whether or not the PS5 would be their last console. Quote, "Who knows how it might evolve? It might evolve. Hybrid models between consoles and some sort of cloud model? Possibly that. I just don't know." He also said, I forgot to put it in here, and if I did know, I wouldn't tell you.
Oh, nice. That's a good way to end that.
Which
quote.
is just sort of like a shitty thing. I'm so
I don't
fucking
know, like
sick
it-
about this. Not him. I think he's totally in the right. Why are we asking about the PS6 and the Xbox 3? We don't even have an announcement for PS5. And as we'll talk about with E3, I'm not even fully convinced that Xbox is going to be, the new Xbox is going to be there.
Oh, okay.
Do I think it's likely? Yes. Am I convinced? No. But like it's just like let's just fucking stop counting our eggs before they hatch.
For real. Hey, can you tell us about this technology? I know you're working on technology that hasn't even come out yet, but let's talk about what's beyond that. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm looking for a big scoop.
Yeah.
Can you give me a big scoop?
And there was a moment in the Destiny stream today where Dado's like talking to Luke Smith and he's like, "So I know you're gonna get asked this a lot and I'm just gonna get it out of the way. What about Destiny 3? And if Luke Smith could punch someone, I think he would have in that moment. You can just tell the frustration. He's like, we have talked about so much cool shit today, and you're asking me about Destiny 3,
God.
which is the game industry in a nutshell.
Yeah. Like, I want to be that person to sit down and be like, look, so I know no one's really talking about it, but PS7, let's just get into it. How is no one talking about this?
If we ever did skits, that's something we should do. It's just like me playing fucking Mark Cerny or something, and you're like, so tell me about the PlayStation 10.
Give me the scoop. Come on, I
do it.
know you got something.
An Eric Andre style interview.
Right, let's work really hard to get actual interviews with these people and just shit the bed. Totally. Like, work our way up just so we can be like, so tell me.
Is Sucker Punch working on Infamous 3? Well, Infamous 3 already exists. And no, they're working on Ghost of Tsushima. But will they be working on it?
Tell us. Everybody wants to know. Sly Cooper prequel?
So after you're done with the Nordic gods and God of War, do you think you'll go on to fight against the D&D gods?
Have you thought about Christians?
Why are your games bad? Nobody likes them.
We're interviewing like the CEO of THQ Nordic. Why?
Just why?
Why what? Why? Why do you do anything?
I have no further questions.
No one asked for you. Bye.
Oh man.
So E3 is coming up. Probably now as we are speaking, people are loading up in flights and flying to LA to go see the newest games and stuff that are coming out.
Patrick.
Yeah, is Patrick Tees going?
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks for the invite.
Sick
Patrick.
invite, bro.
Yeah. So the main thing I want, like, I was going to do something more in depth, but in the interest of time and having to go do other things, like, I don't necessarily know that I want to do that.
Yeah. Well, and not only, I mean, we're going to cover E3 anyways,
Yeah.
so we'll have an in-depth talk about it.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about predictions and whatnot, but also Chris is not here. I don't know if Chris has any predictions for E3. It sneaks up on him every day, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't think we have to do a deep dive on it.
So I just maybe want to go around and pick one topic of sort of something that we individually, like, we're thinking about E3 or something we're excited about, and talk about that for a bit and then get on out of here.
Sure.
So my thought is, there's sort of been like this big thing suggesting that, like, the new Xboxes, and I believe there are multiple of them, are going to be at E3 this year. And I've been thinking about it. And honestly, like, I think part of my brain had felt like it had read somewhere that, like, it was confirmed. But I was reading this E3 article that I have up IGN article about E3 that sort of has a bunch of rumors and stuff in it. And one of the things that they say about the next Xboxes will be unveiled at E3 is, with next generation right around the corner, Microsoft could reveal its next generation of Xbox consoles this year. This rumor could go either way, especially since we know the PS5 won't be revealed at the E3 2019 due to Sony's lack of presence. Now, that was the first time that that was a time where I was like, wait, it is a rumor. But I was thinking about it even more, and I was like, honestly, outside of sort of doing the Xbox One X deal, where you show off, like, at the end of the press conference, you're like, also next year we're going to talk about the Xbox One X, Project Scorpio or whatever they called it, and teased it pretty hardcore and, like, said about, like, the dual, whatever the cores and shit were. I don't think that, like, there's a big reason to show off the next consoles. And I said it last week, like, I don't think that a lot of people are going to be really jumping on revealing stuff for new Xboxes if they were unveiled. And the next part of that theory is that I was thinking back to the PS4 and Xbox One announcements. And I think, and I didn't confirm this because, like, of course I didn't, but I think that the year that those consoles were announced was the same year they came out. From what I remember, in February and, like, March of 2013, Sony and Microsoft held their own conferences and revealed them, and they were at that E3, and they came out after E3. Like, I don't think the last consoles had multiple E3s.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So my opinion about what's going to happen, I could be totally wrong. Like I said earlier, like, I'm not fully convinced that they're not going to be there, but my opinion is that they're going to show off a bunch of games, and we're very much going to know, like, those are next gen games. Like, of course they are. And I think at the end they're going to pull a Project Scorpio and be like, this is Project whatever. We're making 2 new boxes. They're going to confirm all the rumors that have been circulating for over a year.
Here's like the silhouette shapes.
Yeah.
You know.
And they're going to talk about cores again. And then they're going to fuck off the stage.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I don't know. So my opinion is, with Sony not being there, this should be Microsoft's moment to shine, right? Like, you don't... It's not every year that you get an E3 without your main competitor, you know? Like, you are literally missing Sony at this E3. Why would you not take this opportunity to show off your console first, and then maybe do a deep dive on it at their own conference, you know, later on, almost do it kind of like backwards, you know, instead of revealing it at your own conference and then doing a deep dive at E3, do it like opposite, do a big reveal at E3 while it is just you know, of the main 2 consoles, you know, barring Nintendo, of course. But yeah, I think it would be interesting if they didn't take that opportunity.
Well, and I think that them sort of being like, hey, look at these 2 boxes and confirming rumors is sort of their way of doing that. Because I did just Google February 20th, 2013 is when the PS4 was revealed, and the Xbox thing happened after that. So it was the same year where they revealed it, but it worked for Project Scorpio, because remember around that same time when Project Scorpio was being heavily like rumored, so was the PlayStation Pro, and Sony wouldn't talk about the Pro had either just come out or the Pro was coming out, and Xbox sort of got around Sony putting out a new console in their very successful lineup by sort of teasing a thing that wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like Sony flinched, like
Yeah.
they're waiting to draw.
Yeah, exactly.
Microsoft's like,
Much quicker draw. What are you Googling?
I was just looking up dates
Yeah.
of things. I had a theory, and then it wasn't right. So I was
Okay. So that's my thought. I think that like the whatever assumptions that I may have presented on the podcast before about there being sort of like a big reveal thing, it could happen, but I'm sort of leaning on it not happening, at least in the way that I expected it to before.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's going to be a lot like that, except I think this is going to be like their official time where they release their streaming service, and I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the focus.
Especially with Stadia coming out this year.
Yeah. I think honestly, I think that was Google seeing, oh hey, the gaming industry is about to change. Let's get in on this now and early because we can.
Right.
And then now when E3 shows up and Microsoft announces all their new server spaces that they've actually gone and built for this new platform, so to speak, like no, I think we're just going to see some changes. I think I'm excited to see what Microsoft like unveils actually.
That's a interesting point that I guess I haven't really heard too many people talking about yet. Is like it obviously Google, the timing of them announcing or revealing kind of more about Stadia could be like basically like, hey, we're going to announce our thing first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would imagine that Google in some ways has to have their finger on the pulse of the gaming industry. They know what's about to happen, right?
Everyone's search results.
Right. But I mean, like, Microsoft, Google, it's like, you have all these big tech companies that they had to have ends on each other, basically.
And I think even PlayStation has their own streaming version, so to speak.
They've had for years.
Yeah.
PlayStation Now has existed for quite a while. It's just mostly been their substitute for backwards compatibility, which put a bad taste in people's mouths.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it's looking like the new Microsoft streaming service is going to be like everything, like name any device, like even iOS devices can.
Well,
in theory.
I think that's what
Stadia was. No, that was it was a Google Pixel phone. Never mind.
I was going to agree with you. I wasn't going to argue with you. And my thing is that like they are. I think you're right. If they're going to show off anything in any big capacity, I think the streaming service is probably pretty likely. But the problem with that is that Microsoft is walking into a situation where why are you making a fucking box? Yep. There's absolutely no reason. Gears 5 is going to be on Steam or whatever. Like what are you doing? Like I don't think that walking into the next generation, anyone can make a reasonable argument for buying an Xbox, because even like at that point, I have said this before and I still believe this. Like at that point, you might as well get a powerful PC.
Yeah.
Like the price difference for buying a $500 or $600 box is not that different than building your own PC that can run the same games at slightly higher settings, maybe not ultra. Like with PlayStation, like because they are protecting their ecosystem in the way that they are, even if you're not a PlayStation gamer, there's a reason to have the console in your home.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe one good reason is it's accessible for a younger generation, or at least for those who don't necessarily understand the workings of a high-end PC.
That's true.
And that can just like, if, somebody who doesn't have the time to understand how to build a PC or how to optimize it, like they just see it in the store, they can just take it off the shelf and bring it home to their kids.
That's true.
And the Xbox is, for me anyways, it's easier to use. It's more user-friendly than a PlayStation. Like I just don't like PlayStation.
These are two people that have been on opposite sides. Because when I owned an Xbox One, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I can navigate the PS4 so much easier.
I hate that if like I want to just check like the home button or something, I gotta get pulled to the main screen of the PlayStation.
Do you want to update the console, right?
At least it doesn't take 4 hours like it does on an Xbox. But the one counterpoint I have to the kids thing is like I almost wonder if Sony and Microsoft are even marketing to kids anymore, because I really don't know that kids have moved away from smartphones. And honestly, I think if they have, they're probably playing a Switch
Well,
because it's a familiar like sort of form factor.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, that's even more emphasis on like Microsoft advertising their streaming service.
Well, and you're right.
Right.
Again, you're right. But that still goes back to my argument of
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
why does the
yeah.
box exist?
It's like,
Right.
If I can stream Halo Infinite on my Switch or on my PS4 or on my fucking toaster or refrigerator, what is the reason for me to have an Xbox?
Well, and I get so I guess two things. So one, I'm gonna get the next Xbox, whatever it is. You know,
I mean,
I have to.
If Halo Infinite, actually, I won't. I'll build a PC.
Right, I have.
I
to.
won't. There's no reason why I would buy it.
I'm just at this point. I'm just destined to always own both.
I thought that coming out of last generation.
You know, so but here I am owning both.
Sure, you're younger than me though.
Touche. By a year maybe. Anyways.
It'll be 2 years soon.
I digress. So I think that at some point, when do you accept defeat? When do you acknowledge that maybe this thing isn't working? Or why are we putting all of our eggs in one basket whenever we have the capability to do something that they can't do? If Microsoft knows that Sony isn't going to put their games on PC, that's not what they do. They have their first parties. You just play it on PlayStation. That's the place to play, right? If we're Microsoft, and if I can have games available on Xbox and PC, if I'm not going to beat PlayStation whenever it comes to console sales or anything like that, why would I not make my games at least available to more people? You know?
Yes, I agree with that. But I also think that sort of as a company, you need to look and say, what are our priorities? Because like the thing that Microsoft is fighting for is a portion of the living room, because Sony already has that between their TVs, which are supremely popular, and you know, the fact that they make movies and TV shows and you know, they're associated with one of the big Marvel blockbusters right now. Like, they own a portion of the living room, and Xbox wants that, and Microsoft is never going to make a TV. But the thing is that like you said, if you can do all this stuff, if you really want to do crossplay and you really want to build your own platform on PC, and you want to do streaming, and you want to do a subscription service, and those are all things that Sony isn't doing because they don't have to. Because you're buying an Xbox, you will buy a PlayStation 5. Both of you will.
Oh, yeah.
Because the second they announce God of War 2 or Spider-Man 2 and their exclusives, guess what you guys are buying? Maybe not right away, but eventually. And it was the same way with PS3. Like, even me, who hated the PS3, ended up owning one just for The Last of Us. And they know that. So if Xbox knows that they can't win that fight, which I think they do, I think that they know that, like, if this is the direction that they're going, their boxes are never going to be as popular, then I would go away from making traditional consoles. Like, I just would. There's no reason to do it because you're not going to win that fight. But also, you could get a portion of that fight, because if you're putting Microsoft services on the Switch and computers and toasters and washing machines and on people's smartwatches and on their phones, why couldn't you put it on PlayStation? Why couldn't you give a cut of the Xbox Games Pass subscription to Sony and make a shit ton of money off of people across the world? Because I think in the US, Xbox and PlayStation are pretty evenly split. But Sony has the global market share.
Right. Xbox is very much, I feel like, an American console. No, I think of Americans, I think people playing Xbox.
Yeah. Or Britain, you know?
I think of Xbox 360 when I think of like gamer Americans.
Oh, yeah. True.
But like,
That's like the bro system.
Yeah. But everyone had one.
Yeah.
Like you did not know me at this time, but 15-year-old Trey was running around at school arguing about how the PlayStation 3 is the stupidest console that's ever existed because of the way that it partitioned its hard drive, and the Xbox 360 was going to beat it. And I had sales figures, and I still believe all this stuff. Every one Xbox exclusive outsold, like on multiple occasions, outsold the combined sales of all of PlayStation 3's exclusives.
See, you had way better arguments than I did. I would just be like, Xbox is better because PlayStation sucks.
and they had great exclusives, but they really, I think, in a lot of ways, shat the bed pretty hard this generation because they were focusing more on building services, which is fine. But if that's what you're going to do, do it.
Yeah, that's true.
It just makes me wonder, like, what is going to be the actual cost of these Xbox consoles when they do release them, you know?
I would guess, just off the top of my head, I would say probably $500 for the premium console and $300 for the.
Yeah, like $250 maybe. If it's
No,
really just.
I think $300.
Oh man.
I don't think, because I mean, with the technology in it, even theoretically, the less powerful box should still be as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Xbox One X. I don't think they could get away with selling it for less than $300 unless it's just a streaming box.
Yeah,
Right.
and even if it was just a streaming box, I mean, what was the value of the Stadia? I think not the pre-order bundle, but I think it's valued at like $300 or whatever. So if they're thinking of that as a competitor, then I would imagine they wouldn't be much higher or much lower than
Yeah.
that.
Justin, what are sort of your E3 thoughts?
I don't know if I have any necessarily around console. I mean, we've all kind of talked about
Just any
consoles.
thought. It doesn't have to be even remotely related to what I talked about.
Yeah, I guess mine is centered more around just what games I'm hoping to see, what games I think we will see, or maybe even some that we won't. I think that I think that we will see the new generation of Xbox. I think that they will show that. Like I said, I think it would be very crazy if they didn't. A few things that I think that are pretty likely to be shown. I think that we're going to see Fable.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that.
With Xbox having kind of the run of the show, at least for their time. I think it would be crazy if we didn't see something Fable related. You know, Playground Games opened up that new studio a couple years ago. I mean, there was talks that they're not working on a racing game, that it is something different. If you're making a new console, be perfect to have Fable on it. You know, I don't think Fable will come out for this generation. I think it might be a console launch for next generation.
We'll see.
Yeah, I love Fable. I love the Fable series. Like that's one of the series. Fable 2 is one of the games that holds like a special place in my childhood for sure. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see Fable. I'm interested to see what Marvel Avengers is going to be. I know whenever we read the description, it sounds
like Marvel Heroes Online as a AAA game.
Yeah,
which is kind of what I want.
Yeah, I mean, as long it is AAA quality, that's what I want. I hope that it doesn't cut corners to be, you know, I don't know. I hope that it's not too much like that. You know, I want it to have that AAA feel and not feel like it's some diluted, just kind of like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance sort of thing. You know.
Yeah.
So I am interested to see what that entails.
I really hope it's not create your own superhero. I'm gonna be so pissed if that's what that game is.
I don't think they would. Surely they wouldn't.
I don't know. I hope they don't go that route. Like I really hope it is take away like the microtransactions, free to play bullshit in Marvel Heroes Online. Make that a AAA game that, you know, characters aren't 3 inches small and maybe not Diablo style. Let you customize characters, have you be chasing like exclusive parts to customize your character's loadout and how they play, and have sort of like that end game be collecting the costumes that you want to collect, and send those people off to, you know, fucking kick ass. And you know, you could have a whole team of Spider-Mans. Make it a weird multiverse story. The multiverses are colliding, and so that's why there's multiple copies of Spider-Man and Captain America running around. But every character is their own character, and you're being sent out on missions, and it's about loading out that character.
Yeah.
And, you know, like that hero style of gameplay is something that is super popular. So you start out with a roster of 20 heroes and just start releasing them as DLC. That's how you pay for this game. Like this game's future, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like we haven't seen anything for it, so it could literally be anything, you know, at this point. Because we haven't seen anything like that in the AAA space, so it's almost hard for me to picture that, you know, with Marvel Avengers.
Yeah, we haven't had it with like popular characters, but that's very much like, I'm like specific examples are completely going over my head, but like look at Diablo, right? Like those are just heroes, and it's about customizing their loadouts. The that Left 4 Dead game that takes place in the Warhammer universe, where you're killing the rat people, Vermintide. That's sort of that same game. You're playing heroes. You don't make your own character. You have sort of preset heroes that you're loading out. I mean, that's what every MOBA sort of is too. I don't necessarily know you have as much customization like before you go into a match, but when you're in a match, you can buy items and shit that allow you to do it.
Yeah, I guess it's just hard for me to imagine that being in like a big like Marvel Avengers game. You know,
I just don't know how you do it better.
Like, I genuinely don't know. Yeah,
I don't know how you do it better if you're going for a live service model.
Right.
Like, that's the thing that throws a fucking wrench into any conversation about this is like, it's a live service game. What does that mean?
Yeah, beats me. Other games I'm excited for that I think will be there. Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah, I think Animal Crossing will be there,
and that'll be something I pre-order as soon as pre-order's available now. Just go ahead and get one of those.
Play it obsessively for like a month, and then let your town die, and never
let
pick the game up.
Let the weeds grow.
Yeah. Never all your people move away and send you sad notes because you never like leave your house anymore.
Yeah,
you're just like your character's just depressed.
They're like they're knocking on the door, leaving notes like, "Are you okay,
Justin? Do you need anything?" And your character's just like rolled over in bed, like staring at the wall.
It's just it's a commercial for some antidepressant. I don't think that we'll see anything related to Elder Scrolls. I don't think Starfield will be there.
I think they've already confirmed that they're not going to be there.
Really?
Yeah. Which again. Question of the year: why the fuck are they having a press conference?
Last year there was a question, but then they answered it, right? They showed a little bit of everything.
Sure, but like even last year, if you sort of take away the Elder Scrolls and Starfield thing, they really just spent like half an hour talking about Fallout 76, which is not awful. At the time was cool.
Which at the time was like, this is badass.
But like, even then it's like, you could have just thrown a video up on the internet and
That's
not
true.
had the weird white shirt dude fucking play songs to Rage.
Oh yeah, God. Sometimes I forget Rage 2 is a thing.
I'm like I have like a weird part of my brain that just like can throw out random E3 shit that like from years past that it's like other people have forgotten, but like my brain is still like, this was wrong.
Yeah. So I don't expect a whole lot from a majority of E3. I think that Xbox is going to be the most exciting, and I think, like I said, we will get something with that new console. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I don't know if there's that much hype even built up around E3, and I don't even think it's just us. I've seen a lot of people talking online about, should we be excited for E3? Like, a lot of people are in this weird limbo stage.
I mean, I think the problem is that you have like the potential for a new console announcement, and I think that's clouding the way that people are thinking about it because Sony's not going to be there. But like, if you really look at it, and I've heard from people that have gone to Judges Week, just sort of talking and podcasts where they can be a little bit more freeform, that this from what it sounds like, it's going to be a good E3. But like, if I say Square Enix's Marvel game, Halo Infinite, Gears of War 5, potentially Fable, Animal Crossing, like possibly Beyond Good and Evil, which just looks fascinating, even if it's not a game for me. Like, I can throw out random titles of things that'll likely be there that have been there in the past. And if I say all those things, like, for me personally, just the idea of Halo Infinite and finally seeing what that, to me, looks like a mess of a game actually is, and the potential for what it could be, that's super exciting. Because, like, potentially we're going to get an announcement of a Halo game that is, like, no Halo game has existed in this capacity before.
Right. But as far as we know, we genuinely don't know anything about Halo Infinite.
Do you want to know my little theory on that and why it was weird at that previous E3? It's because I think that was supposed to, like, play along with their service, and so they were supposed to demonstrate it working on, like, an iOS or some sort of, like, device. And that's why they called it Infinite, because the possibilities of playing are infinite. And but they're like, no, it's not ready. That's not ready. We can't do it. So then there's just like, here's Halo Infinite, guys.
I love you, Everett.
Maybe that would explain some of the less than amazing graphics too. 'Cause
Yeah.
if it's built to play on the iOS or something, then
Your wonder about like Microsoft shit like reminds me to be less jaded, because my first thought was like maybe it looks so bad because it was running on really early hardware of the next generation consoles. Like that was sort of my thought. Was just like, oh, like it's probably just like a really early alpha build.
Well, but if you heard from anybody like who was actually in the booths and actually hearing about the game, they said like, this is awesome. This is cool. Like we're excited about this. But that's all they could say.
Well,
about the
but
game.
that's another part. Oh, Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is going to be there.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
And that game sounds fucking wild. Like just Cyberpunk and Halo is enough for me to be like, yes. But like, there's a certain, I have a theory, because there was a lot of stuff last year that I was sort of like nonplussed by. And I think part of the issue is that you have a bunch of people in a room with a giant 4K monitor watching things in 60 frames per second. And I think the stream quality that you get at home watching E3 sort of waters shit down to a significant
Sure.
degree.
Yeah.
So like Halo Infinite could have looked great if you were there, but at least in the stream it looked like shit. Like I remember sitting there and I was like, what is this game? Like I thought it was like a weird, like at the time I thought it was what's that survival game with dinosaurs? Ark. I thought
Oh
it was
yeah,
Ark.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, everyone thought it was
Could
like
you imagine Ark
yeah.
on?
But like it looked like Ark style like quality.
Yeah.
Like I said that, and multiple people that were there. I can't remember if you guys were there,
Yeah,
but there were other people there. But you're like, yeah, I bet it's Ark. And then it like you see like the fucking Spartan
Yeah,
helmet,
yeah,
and
the
it's
helmet.
like, what the fuck?
It was weird.
Anyway,
I want to see Viva Pinata.
You have been yeah.
No, I want to see them.
Good luck.
I loved Viva Pinata.
No.
And if that could be a
My
next gen like launch title for the new Xbox, oh, that'd be awesome.
My skepticism has nothing to do with not liking Viva Pinata.
Oh,
It has
yeah.
100% to do with the fact that if we ever do see a Viva Pinata game, we will be geriatrics.
I want a Viva Pinata game, not a Viva Pinata like party game.
Yeah.
No party games. I want to make a farm and attract pinatas.
Farmville on Facebook. Same thing.
Well, have not heard that in a long time.
Everett, do you have any E3 theories aside from the ones that you've thrown out?
Not necessarily. I feel like I've actually kind of been a broken record on Microsoft for the longest time, so maybe that's why
Yeah,
I
you
am.
you kind of have been saying the same things for a while. Not in a
'Cause-
bad way.
Yeah, because I was always like excited for Halo, and I'm like, why haven't they said anything about Halo yet? And then I'd always had this like personal theory. It's like, well, they're probably developing some sort of like new technology for this Halo game, so they can't talk about it. They can't talk about anything with it.
But the funny thing about that theory and your streaming theory is that if you put those two together, like one of them has to be wrong. Like the Halo one could be partially right, because if there's a streaming service, then of course you can play it anywhere. It's infinite.
Yeah.
You can play it on your phone, your computer, your toaster, your refrigerator, your washer. But if the Halo theory is true, that it's a game specifically built around a bunch of different devices, then it's like
Ooh,
the
which is
streaming
not-
one, like.
Which is exactly what I was like. I really hope that's not how it goes. I hope they didn't name a game Infinite because you can play it anywhere. Like that's very much like a Halo. Let's go.
Oh, I know.
Halo, let's go.
I know. Well, at
Halo,
fir-
go.
the theory started out at first as like, oh, maybe they'll put like HoloLens in the game and HoloLens be a thing, but then that didn't. Who knows when that's gonna be? Like,
I don't think it'll ever be I'm sorry. I don't think in the near future it'll ever be a consumer product. I would expect
Right.
it to be an industry product.
It's almost like Kinect in a way. Like,
That's true.
I feel like Kinect just. Actually, what happened to the Kinect?
I mean,
people use it to hunt for ghosts.
people also use it to mistakenly turn on their TV and then cuss at.
So lots of reasons, you know.
But like
Yeah.
HoloLens, from what I understand, is like a pretty big deal, at least in like the medical field,
Yeah.
and even in the military field.
Like training.
Microsoft,
sort of
was it last year or early this year, they took on that contract with the U.S. military to develop weapons using HoloLens.
Yeah.
It was this year. No, it might
It
have been
was
last year.
recently.
Yeah.
was
late
that
last
where the
year,
guy
maybe.
protested?
That was where that protest happened at
Yeah.
Microsoft.
And then everyone was like, okay.
Yeah.
Man, I honestly, that's kind of like the horse I've been riding. Is the Microsoft train, really. I'm excited to see what happens with Death Stranding, although once again, PlayStation is kind of its own thing at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. So maybe maybe this is a morbid curiosity. I'm excited to see what they do with Anthem during EA's.
They're not. According to EA today, Anthem isn't going to be there.
Really? Because they sent out a big email about like tickets to EA Play are free. You just got to fly out to Anaheim.
That's because they're trying to sell Jedi Fallen Order.
Right, of course. But in their description of everything that would be there, Anthem was on there. Because I remember thinking, what the hell are they going to show about Anthem?
Actually, this was more than...
Maybe they'll just go with what they've been doing and just not say anything, and maybe people just forget.
Okay, so Anthem might be there, but on May 29th, so this was more than a couple days ago, EA announces E3 live stream schedule, and Anthem isn't on it. So if it's there, it might not be featured prominently.
I mean, I feel like if it's not on that schedule, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't say anything about it.
Real quick, do you guys want to touch on some of the popular rumors from this IGN article?
Yeah, we can run through it real quick.
Ubisoft is going to reveal a game called Roller Champions, which is supposed to be somewhat like Rocket League, but it sort of has like a retro Fortnite art style where you're playing people on like rollerblades.
You had me at Rocket League.
Yeah.
That's the other game I play every week.
Ubisoft is working on its own subscription service. I think every publisher is probably working on their own subscription service.
Which at some point, you're just paying so much money for everything. I hate it.
This rumor is basically, in my opinion, confirmed. I think the evidence is stacked so high in this rumor's likelihood that it's not even worth like mentioning as a rumor. But Borderlands 2 is going to be getting new DLC. The title is Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary.
Okay.
Which leaked on Steam.
Oh, okay. So then,
yeah.
Borderlands 2.
Borderlands 2 is getting DLC leading into Borderlands 3.
Okay.
just something to bridge the gap.
Which
makes
is
sense because the Handsome collection is on sale. Like
it's on PlayStation Plus right now.
well, it's on PlayStation Plus, but also on PC. It's like $6 for the Handsome collection.
But also, like, this rumor has been floating around for like the last year because they recently did an update to the game, and it sort of had source files that seemed to hint that they were releasing DLC for it.
Okay.
So this isn't a new one. It's just that like now there was a name attached to it.
Okay.
THQ Nordic is developing a new Darksiders game. We know that's true, and Destroy All Humans.
Ooh.
Oh wow, that's a
I haven't
classic.
heard that name in a long time. Oh, that gets me kind of excited. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
That was a game I enjoyed playing.
E3 2019, George R. R. Martin and From Software will reveal their collaboration, which will probably be on the Microsoft Showcase.
I forgot about Mr. George.
Yep, I forgot about that too. But he's confirmed that he worked with a Japanese company, and back in March, the rumor was that he had worked with From. So at this point, like that's confirmed, and whether or not it's there this year, I think is sort of irrelevant.
Yep.
I showed them what the battle really looked like.
It's that Game of Thrones game that was teased 2 years ago.
This is the one of these rumors that I'm like, I don't think this is true at all. The Witcher 3 is getting a Switch port. There's no way. I don't think that game could run on Switch.
I could see that.
Yeah, why not?
Because that game is like, even on PlayStation 4 on a 1080p TV, it's beautiful. There's a lot of shit going on. Like when you first enter in the game, there's like rain and wind. And could it run on a Switch? Possibly. But if it does, it probably looks like you're looking at it through like fucking a frosted glass window.
I mean, unless this is whenever Switch announces their next models that run things even better.
Sure, but there's all the rumors suggest that the model that they're announcing is not going to have a better display, and that the model that they might announce after that is only going to be like slightly better, and it still isn't going to have a much better processor, which means that it's not going to run things it's not going to be able to run games that the other Switch can't run.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see the Witcher going to.
Of course, because everything's being ported to Switch, but it just seems like if you're out there, person who's waiting for The Witcher 3 to come to the Switch, just go buy it on literally anything else. We already talked about that one. Microsoft will announce the long-rumored Fable. We talked about that. And again, this year, last but not least, Splinter Cell is going to be revealed.
Hey,
I have no strong opinion either way.
last game was good.
Well, I think they're working on a Splinter Cell.
When are you ever not working on a Splinter Cell?
Well, they haven't been for quite a while. because the last one came out like in 2010 or 11. So they haven't for quite a while, but I think all signs point to them showing it. But I don't think this is going to be the year that they show it. But either way, I don't really care.
Because they just released news of Ghost Recon.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I
Yeah.
feel like those two
So-
games sort of like step on each other's feet.
I feel like they've
Those
been
are
like
both Tom Clancy.
yeah, well Ubisoft.
Well, yeah, but
Well,
I
but
meant,
they're
like,
they're
Tom
Tom
Clancy
Clancy title
titles.
games.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember if Splinter Cell. was Tom
2013
Clancy.
was their last Splinter Cell game.
Yeah, so they've had good 6 years to work on another one.
yeah.
That's weird. So really, like up until 2006, they were basically on like a yearly or bi-yearly release cycle.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
good
It was
couple years there where it was like up.
Blacklist,
Another s-
Conviction.
Yeah. All right. E3, you guys ready for it? I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
All right. We're all at a consensus here. First time on in Twisted Radio history. If you guys like what we do and want to follow the show on its various social media platforms, check out the description below. Our links are also down there. You can just click them. You don't have to like type them as I say them. You don't have to mishear. You don't have to question how to spell Connor's name. It's all there. And check out the Things for Connor stuff too. He made our theme song. He's pretty cool. And we'll see you guys next week in some capacity with our E3 breakdowns.
Yeah,
All right, guys. I love you.
Love you.
love you too.
We were saying love you to you, you narcissist.